Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 24 of BrewFOs. Today, my guest is Austin Moore of Spelling More. He's a spelling practitioner. And Austin, I would love you to just go into it and tell us what spelling is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Spelling in simple layman's terms is used our non-speaking or non-reliably speaking autistic friends typically. I should say that I'm working with more friends on with Down syndrome as well, which is exciting. But it's using those body types that are usually dealing with body loops, vocal loops, and we're using the gross motor of pointing to individual letters. Let me grab an example letterboard for you for the audience that might not know. We start we start slow with the alphabet spread across three letterboards like this. And again, our people are just gross motor of pointing to letters over and over again to build muscle memory and purposeful pointing for purposeful communication. And then they end up graduating to something like this, 26 letters. And again, we're teaching them to purposely point, spell these words together that eventually lead into open communication. And the majority of my clients now are typers, which are just kind of connected to a wireless setup with my iPad and a wireless keyboard, and so they're wirelessly typing to communicate their thoughts, emotions through the slow, purposeful pointing that is usually harder for their body to do compared to the fast, repetitive, automatic movements that autism kind of brings to the table. There's this idea, I call it the real person inside, the thinking person, and then their autistic body is almost like this twin that comes with the package. So you're dealing with this autism that is kind of like does its own thing, and then the real mind and that soul that we know is in there is what I'm trying to get to with the spelling. So
Yeah, this is such a big deal what you're saying right now. So I just want people to understand this. So there's people out there, kids up to adults, that they're nonverbal and they can communicate, and that's just not been a part of their life, or they haven't had that opportunity. And what you're doing is through the spelling, through spelling to communicate, we're finding out that there's someone in there,
sure.
presume competence. There's someone in
Yeah.
there that can communicate. They have goals. They have, interest. They're humans. They're like me and you.
Yes, absolutely. And the fascinating thing is that when you see what their body typically does, again, the body stems, or some of them are echolalic, which means they say the same things over and over again. It's really more of a form of OCD or a Tourette's kind of thing, where it's a repetitive body issue that they don't want to do. But we just assume that that they like repetitive things, right, because of the autism. But when they've been able to communicate through the typing, they've over and over again, and not just my clients, these are people that I talk to across the country, across the world through the internet, that are sharing the same stories that my people are telling me, is that my body does what it wants to do, and I don't want that. Imagine like you're driving in your car, right? You get to a destination and you're like, man, how did I get here? Like you were having this conversation, probably like, I got to do this, I got to do that. You're in your mind, right? Well, they have the same internal dialogue we do, but it doesn't. We would never think that if we didn't presume competence, because we see their body doing crazy, wild things. Some of them even bite their hand or hit their head, and you think, oh, that's a shame. No, it's their body kind of having this separate entity to it, and their mind is just like ours with the internal dialogue, and they want to say things. Usually that frustration's coming out because they want to say something, but when they go to, it comes out completely different or nothing at all, which I imagine is just extremely, brings some of that frustration along.
Yeah, this really so it makes me think about how many thousands of people, or however number of people, that are kind of just trapped and have never had
Mm-hmm.
a way to communicate, and that
Mm-hmm.
are sitting somewhere right now, and people don't presume competence about them, and they don't have any way to communicate. It just makes me think about all those people.
Yeah, and think about I'm sure you probably are familiar with the trapped in syndrome of, or even people being on the table, and being under, but being fully aware of what's going on. That's a little bit of the sensation they talk about. Is especially one of my friends who impulsively will grab somebody's hair. And it's one of those things where it's so fast, like you don't even see it coming. And then afterwards, he's typing out, "I'm so sorry, my body was grabbing." But could you imagine that, like where just that impulsivity is just lightning fast, but in your mind as you're doing it, you're going, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? Let go." But your body's just doing its own thing. It's like, no, I enjoy this.
Yeah.
While your mind is playing this game of, "Oh my gosh, I'm in this." Somebody's written out that it's like being in a car wreck and all you can do is just sit there and take it. Or being in a rudderless ship where you're just kind of going along in life, and even though you want to do this, your body does that. And so yeah.
So how did you, okay, I'm
Yeah,
going all over the place here.
sure. Well, we kind of started at present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you wanted, like how you got into this, I mean, I know
Sure.
we're talking, I mean, this is already great, but like, I just want to know like kind of your journey. So everyone knows your journey. I follow you on
Sure.
Instagram. I see
Gotcha.
you working with people like, every day, and you've just given me a whole new outlook,
Oh, cool. I appreciate that.
we'll talk about I mean, I'll bring up the telepathy tapes. That's how I found you.
Oh, gotcha.
I found out about spelling through the telepathy tapes. I just
Awesome.
wanted everyone to know this is how I know Austin. Is I follow him. His stuff's great. Everyone start following Austin.
I appreciate that.
But yes,
So,
please tell me.
yeah, I was just kind of lost high school kid. I was in this rock band as a senior in high school. So we were actually playing local shows, and we thought we were doing our own thing. And, it was good for our little pod of people. Right. But I talked about a rudderless ship. That's what I was at 18. I had good grades, and my parents kind of assumed I was going to high school, but they weren't exactly on top of me to get into college. Right. But they just kind of thought. So I procrastinated, got into school. All the time I got this job with I was 18 years old. My friend was 6, autistic, non-speaking buddy of mine. Their family ran a little program in their basement, and they just needed someone to come in along with other high schoolers and college kids that were learning on the job of how to work with this autistic friend of ours. We were doing an ABA kind of run program, behavioral health thing, very focused on getting him to sit and learn these little things that we eventually learned. That was just we were doing the best we could with what we had. So then by the time he's 8, we went through all things with my buddy, trying to get the best results out of him. And it wasn't until he was 19. So from age 6 to age 19, from what I knew him, he had been silent, but always giving us these little glimpses of like, there's his personality, laughing at the right appropriate time, or just certain things. We're like, man, that was so intuitive. That was so cool. And so when he found his voice at 19, I had briefly gone into another industry. This was a inside sales job complete. My wife just had a connection. I needed a career. So I got away from that family, and his mom said, "You got to come see the spelling thing." And I'm like, okay. And so I almost didn't go. And my wife convinced me to go see him spell, just because we had stuff going on. And it changed my life. That going to see him spell, I was crying like he was a brother to me. And even though I'd been away for a few years, I'd known him since he was 6, and I'd known his body. So when I saw him calmly spelling these words and sentences that were brilliant, I was just like, there he is. I knew he was in there. So the writing was on the wall that, one, I was in the wrong job, inside sales. I'm a people person, but rejection was not good for me. So I wasn't like great at it. And his mom was just like, you should come learn this. And, you got away from autism. Maybe you should come back. And I thought, all right, let me figure out what I want to do. So I started learning to spell with him. And I'm a little blessed, but a little cursed in that I learned with an open speller right away. So my buddy was completely open. So I kind of jumped in the deep end to see what all this was about. and so like that, he taught me so much about the body and how it does its own thing, and that you got to listen to what I say, because he would start to loop on the yes, yes, for everything, yes, and we started accepting that. And then he told me, no, that's turned into a body loop, you can't accept that. So that changed my, oh, I can't accept the things that used to work. Sometimes change into a loop. They turn into an OCD thing, because he's so used to getting a certain thing. It then turns into something positive, turns into something negative.
So he
So
gave
he
you a
taught,
heads up. He gave you a heads up because
yes,
he wants to communicate with you. And so if he's
and
saying yes, he's aware that like, hey, I'm messing up here, and I want to
yeah,
communicate.
and it
Okay.
took me a while to be like, oh, you've been telling me, oh, you've been overly telling me yes, I get it. And so then he, another eye opening thing, first time that I really realized that there's so much more going on inside his head was, one of his therapists was eating a salad and he really wanted to eat it. But he told that person that they had to fork the food and then put it into his mouth, so then his body could get used to the texture. He said the flavor is amazing, the texture and the getting my body to fork something that's going to be kind of weird in my mouth. It's like the body's going nope, 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 nope. And so when we did it for him and helped him to his mouth, then he started chewing, and now he'll eat in anything and everything that we kind of help put in front of him. But up until that time, we just assumed that he only wanted Pop-Tarts, pizza, Chick-fil-A,
Wow.
and now his diet, he still eats those things, of course, but sometimes he still over asks for those things. So we'll double check on the letterboard. Is that what you mean, or is that your voice just saying a repetitive thing? And sometimes it's like, no, I really do. I'm craving Chick-fil-A. Or it's like, actually, what about a burger? So, okay. So I'm glad I asked instead of just assuming. And that's what we did up until that point. And so when I talk to these new families I meet and I see those things where their mom's still giving into this and that. And so I'll try to coach mom about, I see that seems to be like he gets a little worked up when he asks for this. That could become a loop. You got to be careful with it, just from my experience, because some loops don't turn into something that's disruptive, but then some of them can just snowball, right? So I learned on the job with my buddy, and then just going to little things here and there with him. Book club. They were taking this class, auditing a class at a major university. So cool, like 6 of them. That was my first learning experience with a group of autistics that are non-speaking on the letterboard, and how they were, a conversation in a classroom with a professor that typically would take a few minutes might take 15, because each of them are typing out their own answers, and we're all just being patient. There's lots of noise going on, but it's just their autism doing their thing, and everybody's comfortable. And so I got to learn the group dynamic. And so then those parents start asking me, would you work with my kid? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing really. But it was one of those, nervous moments for me. Then I started working with one. I realized that body's different. I got to do different things with each one. And so I slowly started to piece this idea of like, no autistic friend of mine is going to be the same. So I can't treat everyone like my original person that taught me so much. So I had to individually learn with each person. Okay, that's not going to work. Or, ooh, this is a new thing I got to figure out. So I'm like Batman with autism, right? I got to figure out. All right, I've seen this before, but this is a new trick. Let me try this. And so I mix and match all these experiences from hundreds of families now that have helped me kind of catch familiar patterns. It's a lot of familiar patterns, but it might just present itself in very unique ways. So I never know what I'm going to get. Even my guys and gals that are fully open and pretty calm most days, I walk in, I'm like, wow, your body's going crazy today. We just need to slow things down, maybe even switch from the keyboard down to the laminate to kind of, you scale down when the body is kind of a little active, you kind of, if they can't handle the keyboard, you go to the laminate, and vice versa, like all the way down. And then if they're really knocking out of the ballpark, you scale up, and it's the questionings and all that too. Now that's a whole nother can of worms, getting into the spelling stuff. But that's how I got into it, was naturally with one family. And then I realized that I think after 4 or 5 friends that maybe this could be a career, and then here we are. I did help that family. We opened a fitness and community center here in Georgia, and I was in the clinic for about 5.5 years, and that's where I got my hands really dirty with in the trenches, working with kids, and got a lot of them to open communication at that point, and really built my skills. And then I've been back on the road for approaching 3 years now, going home to home, learning with them in situations that might need the letterboard to kind of get things moving, or if they're stuck in a certain situation, that client might be able to express what's kind of getting them stuck. So it's been so amazing to see, and it's life changing when done right. Now, when done right is very important, because there can be fits and starts with people, and bad practitioners that, I shouldn't say bad practitioners, they're practitioners that are eager to show what spelling can be, and maybe aren't quite ready to show best practices yet. So there's a lot of pushback, which I understand, and I'm very open to people that have skepticism towards what I do, but I'm fully engaged because I've seen too many families change. And then I've also talked to too many families across the globe, not just here in Georgia, but across the globe, that are living parallel lives and situations for it. It's not, quite frankly, why I love this conversation with you is because we'll eventually talk about UFOs. Same thing. It's like shared experiences, but across the globe, and they're all similar. Like, I know it sounded crazy at some point, but now it's too coincidental for it all to sound similar, and for it not to be, okay, we should really look into this.
Well,
So,
but with UFOs, man, like, I mean, we got some clear footage, but most of it's like blurry or whatever, or it's classified. What you got is, I mean, I just go to your Instagram or whatever, you've got real videos, HD videos of this
sure.
working every single day,
Yeah.
with kids up to adults. Like, so, like, I know I've heard you say before, if there's skeptics out there, especially like in education or whatever, like, come shadow me, or come,
Yeah. I'd love to.
but we're all pretty much shadowing you. They're like, following you, because I get to see everything that's going on. And I know it's different, because if someone was there with you all day, they'd see all the ins and outs.
Sure.
But just
One, and to the skeptic, like, there are some people that are like, oh, you're moving like, people get excited, move the board. Even in my videos, you'll see my hand moving slightly, but when you're dealing with resistance and energy, it's naturally that doesn't matter to me, because I know that those micro movements of the letterboard are fine. It's the macro movements of my students are going across the boards, and maybe they miss a letter, but they just hit it next door. It's those things that people that don't understand spelling miss. They're looking too much at me, which I get, but they're ignoring, like, these gigantic movements, and purposeful movements is what I call them, across the letterboard of the student. And so it's like, stop looking at me. I get it. You're looking to break down everything about my video. But if they would just kind of embrace, like, these crazy autistic bodies are calmly going from letter to letter, because they believe in the process. They like, all right, I'll sit down with a student, and the mom's like, boy, get ready. He has had a wild day. And for 45, 50 minutes with me, he might have a moment or two, but boom, 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 he's typing away. Because they kind of understand, like, when I come in, I'm like Mr. Miyagi. I'm like, it's time to work. Like, we're not messing around. And so they naturally come sit down. That's another reason why I'm so happy for what I do, because they, like, when I show up, they're ready to go. It's not like they're fighting me, or, after almost 10 years with some of them, they still, like, they change my life so much, because when I come in, they build me up too,
wow.
It's a beautiful thing. So, like, taking the negativity in and try to just push it away, but at the same time say, let me try to change your mind. Like, all I'm here to do is just try to lead you to the water. You gotta drink. It's up to you. But I feel like there's so many people on the fence, So I want to try to just grab some of those people on the fence and, like, come on, just come look, decide for yourself, but see it, and don't see it through a video. See it in person.
Okay, so yeah, so for those people, like, because I know I have friends and family that have kids that are
Mhm.
nonverbal or partially verbal, autistics, and um, you know, they might be on the fence. So those
Yeah,
people that are like,
sure.
oh, I've heard from ASHA or I've heard from
Yeah,
organizations that
sure.
spelling is just like, you know, so I mean, they think it's bullshit, and then when I watch you, I'm like, no. And then when I hear all these stories, I'm like, no. I'm like, what is going on here? So like, what for
Right.
those parents and those people, like, what do you have to say to them?
Yeah, well, I mean, so and my wife's an SLP, so I pay ASHA, which is very bizarre.
Wow.
And it's just one of those things where we're trying to just kind of, in case she's a stay-at-home mom now, but if she wanted to go back into it, she's got to stay active. She does her continuing education, but she's believed in presuming competence since she's known me. And she was everything I talked to her about when we were boyfriend and girlfriend. She knew my guy who I worked with, and she's like, I wasn't taught any of this, and and what I'm doing now. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That was my first introduction to, like, that's weird. She doesn't learn about this spelling thing. And then when I got certified, and through Elizabeth Vosseller, who is also an SLP, she really kind of opened my eyes to what was going on. And so a lot of what they're going off of is antiquated data and a couple of bad situations from the 90s of facilitated communication, which is not the same as spelling, but they like to lump us all in together because of the practitioner, the regulation partner aspect of it. But with facilitated communication, you're physically resisting the hand as they're going to type. And so there were some bad cases in the 90s or 2000, I don't know what it was, but it was pretty bad. But there's bad practitioners in every aspect in every industry.
Yeah.
But those were doozies that really they sunk their teeth into, rightfully so. But those were very unique cases, or the one individually, one case in particular has just really it set things back so bad. Then Soma, who created RPM, rapid prompting method. She's the OG for spelling. They just went ahead and lumped what she was doing into facilitated communication because it looked similar to them. But again, I might physically help my friend that's brand new or that's having a tough day to a letter with their hand, like, hey, this is what it feels like. All right, now you do it. So it's a motor modeling thing. I'm never physically touching my clients all the time. Now there are some people that need that light touch on the shoulder or the back of the arm just to feel their arm, right? And they type away. And a lot of them don't like that. So it's the thing that I laugh about is that a lot of these non-speaking friends, they want this independence, which I understand, but there's nothing in their lives unless they figure out some type of cure. There's nothing in their lives that's going to be independent, really. They're always going to need prompting on something, and they're always going to need something to help them regulate. So the fact that there's resistance to them getting regulation and being able to communicate is bizarre, especially for a communication grounded organization like ASHA. And it is an organization. It's not a government agency. I think people should realize that they're just kind of the top dog. It's like if McDonald's were to say, oh, well, you shouldn't try this different type of hamburger because, this and that.
Yeah.
They're just a company saying that. So you don't have to take what they're saying for gospel. If you feel like something's off and you want to expose your child to something different and something that's going to respect their age, respect their intelligence, then I would consider at least number one, you got to presume competence, but number two, I would consider spelling or some version of it, some version of typing or facilitated communication that presumes competence. Even if you don't presume typing, I would start treating your 16 or 7-year-old as a 16 and 7-year-old, and definitely try not to use the infant language around them when they're adults. It's when I started presuming competence across the board, I started seeing huge changes in their reaction to what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so that was one of those Soma things that she taught me, that when you start treating them with respect, they will absolutely treat you with respect. And they'll start opening up to you. They trust you, because that's one of the number one things about getting going with someone is building trust. And so, if you don't have that, they're going to read through you. And that's a little bit more of what we're talking about later with the mind melding kind of thing, the telepathy stuff, that they definitely, their energy is just, their radars for energy is just so good.
What about, you've talked about the battery, right? That's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Can you
That's cool.
explain that a little bit?
That's awesome that you remember that. So yeah, I did a video recently where I had an AI help me put the visual together, which was just, I see my body, their body as kind of like the battery ends, the nodes, and we're kind of like the wires. And then when we get the letterboard it's almost like the connection point, that as soon as we start typing together through this circle of letterboard, coach, and speller, we've created this circuit of energy. And I believe in you. I'm holding this letterboard for you. I trust what you're going to tell me is your letters, your words. Show me a good first letter, and then that you trust their movements, right? That's only after you've worked so long at building up these words. It may take years, it may take months. I had one guy that went 7 years before he became open, but it was through the family's determination and just knowing, like, we may not see these huge leaps and bounds, but we still are going to jump in full-fledged presuming competence. And they did, even though he wasn't open-ended. He was still just, one-word answers for months, years, this and that. Then I started seeing these little signs. I'm like, hey, I recognize that in somebody else. Like, somebody else I know made that same move you just did. It's like these little movements that I can notice, because they're all patterns that I'm like, oh, you're ready for this advancement, or I think you're ready for this challenge. So when I started seeing it, I was like, all right, I got excited, but then he would kind of regress a little bit. And I, as a coach, I was like, man, what am I missing? But it was just resilience. And finally, once he hit open, he hasn't looked back. But for 7 years, it's just that I think if you follow the process of spelling the right way and you don't give up, you're going to get to open communication. I don't think it's a cure. It's no cure. People have to understand that spelling is so amazing. And I would say that anyone with autism, non-speaking, anyone can use it as a tool, but it's got to be followed the right way. It's got to be kind of guided with a practitioner that knows what they're doing, just so you know what you're doing. And then, it's got to be a lifestyle. It can't be this therapy that it feels very therapy-like when you start, but it turns into a lifestyle where you're out and about. You're like, hey, what movie you want to see? And you hold it to the letterboard and they choose, or you do that before you even leave the house. But you can confirm it when you're at the movie theater, or you sure you want to see this? You're at a restaurant, all the simple things of life, you can kind of get that stuff done. But also, I have guys that are, one of my, he's 9 now, is wanting to write a movie.
Wow.
He's got ambitions to write a movie. It's unreal what I've seen and the different personalities in each of them. It's just amazing.
And you know, some of these people have been, and your friends have been diagnosed as like having a toddler's brain.
Yes, yeah.
And no,
Right.
they don't. But
Yeah.
we, if you see someone like everyone watching right now, you see somebody on, when you're going to the grocery store and you see that they might be stimming or
Yeah.
they're making noises or whatever, and you think, oh, feel bad for them or something.
Sure.
You walk on your way.
Yeah.
Most people don't think like, oh, there's a person in
Yeah.
there. There's a consciousness in there with hopes and dreams. And
Sure.
I just want people to understand that, like, because
Yeah.
I didn't understand that until I've looked into spelling,
Yeah. I personally believe, I don't know if they're looking into this or not, but I think there's so many of their body movements, the stems, the tics, are so similar to like Tourette syndrome. And I feel like it's a wiring kind of situation that I don't think many people make that connection, but it's when I see someone that has Tourette's, has an outburst, knows exactly what was being said, but oh my gosh, what did I just say? It's the same thing that they're telling me, my autistics are telling me, but they just can't say it. And so it's one of those things where, oh, well, the person with Tourette's can explain with their words
Mhm.
what's going on, and they know they shouldn't shout that in a public place, yet their body does it because the body just likes to do it. Like, I've heard this multiple times from my autistic friends, and it's like, oh, I wonder if it's a miniature version of what people with Tourette's are experiencing, and that just, whoa, the body does its own things. Like, oh my gosh, what was that?
Yeah.
That was so embarrassing. I get a lot of when the hair pulls or eating French fries off people's plates. That later they talk about it like that was so embarrassing, but I couldn't stop. My body wanted that French fry, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
How do you stop something when your brain tells it to do it and it doesn't do it without physically stopping? For that person. Yeah, it's a maddening thing for them, I'm sure. But yeah, I have noticed that the connection to me seems similar. It's a wiring issue to me. I think that all the wires are connected, but they're connected to the wrong spot. So the neuroplasticity that I love to talk about of any of us can learn something new. So we're taking these loopy behaviors that are so disruptive to the life and to the patterns of anything, the routine of life, and we're slowly introducing purposeful pointing. That then, like I have a friend Luke who he didn't really have any disruptive stems, but through his typing, we never would have known that he wanted to drive his dad's boat,
Well,
and his parents never would have let him. And so that when he typed it out, his parents were still like, what, really? Ugh, like, should we do this? It's kind of dangerous. So, but his dad was like, you know what? There is a way that we can figure out a nice way, open water. I'll be right there with him. And sure enough, his body was calm enough to where his dad could back off. And he's slowly driving them around this. Granted, it's a very controlled situation, but he's driving a boat. A week before that, no one would have ever imagined he wanted to, or if we hadn't have had that session of spelling, maybe he never would have in his lifetime driven a boat. And so it's things like that where all my guys and gals are putting it into the ether and they're doing it, even if it's something we don't think their body can handle. Another guy is an OCD, has to pick up every piece of thing on the floor, everything on your shirt. It's so hard to do anything with them, take him anywhere. And he's sitting there typing out he wants to go to the ocean. So you can imagine like getting from the car through the beach to the ocean when he has to pick up every stick or every piece of pine straw. I mean, I can imagine what a grain of sand must do to his brain. So when they sent me pictures of Austin, look, and it's him in the water because he made it to the ocean. It's like he typed it out and he said, oh shit, I'm putting this out there. I got to make it happen. And he did.
yeah.
Now his parents said it still took a little bit of effort from them, of course, but the fact that he put that out there, they probably would have never tried. He also went to a restaurant at that same vacation that they probably would have left him at the apartment if he hadn't have asked for it. Sending me pictures, look at him eating, And so it's just amazing. Again, in and out of the restaurant, they got to deal with a little bit of picking up on the floor and, all right, come on, move. But the whole time he's there, he's enjoying it. It's wild.
Man, that is so, yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
It's life changing.
it makes me think again, though, even more just about the people that are just kind of, like you were saying, he would have never driven the boat. He would have never gone to the restaurant.
Yeah.
Many, men and women out there aren't getting those opportunities because no one knows that they're in there,
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is why I hope spelling blows up, man. Like, I think it is. I think it's gonna, especially this year. I just want it to, I know I think you're a huge, ripple in that pond if you're.
Well, I appreciate it. I was hesitant to start up the page and everything, but it was my parents were like, you should really share this info with more people. And You're good at doing this and that. You should try it. And I don't know, because you do have to put yourself out there. But I am in a unique position to be able to teach people. I'm just doing what I normally do, right? And so when I started posting the videos, and people around the country and even around the world have been reaching out like, "Hey, can I ask you this piece of advice?" I'm like, "Really? Okay." And then I'm like, they want to hear from me, and it's a weird feeling, but I think more people have just said you got to stop thinking that way and be confident in what you know, which I do know this. Like, I know the spelling, so it's just a weird dynamic when I've kind of just been a worker bee, if you will, like kind of going through my motions and just loving life with my friends, and then when the page starts getting attention and people start wanting my opinion, I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. Because I'm very humble in what I do. I have to be, just from things I've learned in the past. But I also have to remember to be confident in what I know, and if I am going to share that with people, to do it to the best of my ability, and to do it, I would say, like, in the best light for my spellers. I'm representing them with I always ask the parents, like, hey, I'll send it to them first and say, hey, I'm about to post this. What you think? And I have had one parent say, "Ooh, really?" And I said, "Oh," because I went one way, and the mom thought, "I'm not sure if I want you to share that." I was like, "Dang, I apologize." It is one of those things where these are not my kids; these are my clients,
Yeah.
and I love sharing their stories. And the parents are so much for that, but they don't want to share everything, and so I got to stay humble that way too. Because I do want to share more of the tough situations. I share a lot of the good, the fluff, but to get to the fluff, it takes a lot of hard work. And so I've heard from a lot of people that enjoy the progression videos. I'm going to start doing a little bit more of those. My buddy Luke, I just posted one where I started with him in 2018, and now he's about to graduate high school. He's taller than I am, but he was 8 years old then, and now he's fully communicating. But he started tapping one letter at a time on those big letters, just like everybody else did. And I think if people that start spelling can understand that if you follow that process like it is a job, it will turn into one of the best tools you will have for their communication for the rest of their lives. So yeah.
And that was one of actually the questions I was going to ask you, like if you had any people being like, why are you posting videos of them or whatever, but even you posted Mia, and she has her own Instagram now, and so some of them, they want followers, or they want to be
Sure.
social and talk to you about what's going on in their life and show you what's going on in their life. They're like you and me, so
Yeah, no, I mean, and I've gotten some people, like the majority of the people that are descendants of it have been, it's all about the letterboard. It's like, why are you holding it? Why can't you set it down? And there are reasons to that. Again, the energy that I talk about, the regulation is a whole big piece, but you're also, like, technically the holding it up at eye level. We're working on the less strain for them to look straight ahead, right at it, compared to having to look down and like a keyboard kind of thing. Again, these are words from them. But it's less strain on the ocular motor, but that regulation piece is just so different. I had one guy tell me, when you put that keyboard flat on the table, it's just a dead piece of plastic. Now that's what gave me kind of the idea of like, oh, when I pick it up, it's like, ooh, we get this energy and we get this light. That's where the battery idea came from, because he was like, it's just a dead piece of plastic. When you pick it up, it's alive. I was like, whoa. And I've even heard, like the idea of like the full alphabet or alphabets around in history having just like this, this magical kind of thing. The collection of letters is like this magical, unlimited possibilities kind of thing it brings the whole session to life. As soon as you pop that thing in front of them while you're holding it, I believe in you. Let's do this. I trust you. It's like something happens.
Yeah.
I mean, when you put it down, I've worked on independent typing. It's like something huge is lost, and they will try to do it, but it's not as successful. And I still work at it because it is what we're aiming for. But there's just something when you hold that letterboard, you are giving them the confidence, the energy, you're opening your mind to what they can give you, and it's all this pod of the battery. It's all this just pod of energy that you're creating in the moment of spelling. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that is. And
Yeah.
are have you dealt with, or what do you think about like when there's people that think it's demonic, or people that think like there's like
Mm.
a Ouija board involved with letters,
Yeah.
stuff like
Well,
that.
that, no, I understand. Well, that's an easy comparison. It's kind of like the telepathy. I like to call it non-local communication because telepathy is kind of like the fluffy word for what's going on. I think it's way bigger than what we know of like telepathy when we think of, movies and just the basic one-way mind reading kind of thing. That's not really what's going on. There's so much more that I personally, and we can get into this later. I personally think this is something on a quantum level that's happening, that, our brains putting out different wavelengths and us being able to tune into them certain ways. And I think we all can do this, but we've either lost it because we thought talking was easier, and not to mention we can lie when we talk.
Mhm.
So I think we probably lost this ability because we wanted to start hiding things from each other. But I do think that this energy thing is so real and so important when it comes to autistic friends, spelling or not. Just being aware that they have a tuner to our energy that is working in overdrive, and it's like they have the best iPhone in the world that when it comes to reading energy, and we have all these crappy flip phones that we think we're cool for school, and they've got this technology. It's like you're in a bad mood, you're a good person because you're always happy. It's kind of like this. They know who's going to be with me and who's not. It's yeah.
It's well, I mean, dude, like we're already talking about it, so like we could just pretty much get into it. So you've experienced some of this yourself, like where it's
Mm-hmm.
like where's it's like, uh, wait, is he or she thinking what I'm thinking? Is
Yeah.
that like how it started, or is it more like
Yeah, it was by accident.
okay,
With the person I was doing a lesson on, and the word that came out was school bus,
okay,
but the word school bus didn't come naturally in that sentence. And again, this was probably 2017, so I don't exactly know what the phrase was. But when he typed out the word school bus, it had just popped into my head, and he started typing it. And again, when I stopped and I thought, "Well, this doesn't make sense in this sentence," and he started typing it as soon as I started thinking that word, and I just shook it off, and I was like, "That was weird." And so we went back, and he corrected the sentence, kept going, and then like 30 minutes later, it happened similar. And so then I was like, "All right, what's going on?" And I was saying this to him, like, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking just now?" And it was one of those things where he was trying to get my attention, is what he told me later. And so then I was like, "All right, I'm going to look over here," look through the lesson. And I said, "All right, I'm thinking of a word that's in this lesson. Can you spell it?" And then I held up the word, and he missed two of the seven letters, I think, but he was right next to the letter. So he nailed five of the letters, and then on the two that he missed, it was the letter next door. So what I call a typo. And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, what is going on?" So I confirmed it a few more times. Then eventually, when I'm able to talk to his mom and be like, "Okay, I just got to," because she was communicating with him as well, and she had experienced something similar, but she was afraid to kind of say something because she didn't know. And then so yeah, oh, that's kind of a thing. It's like, what's going on here? And so then, not right away, but about 6 months later, I experienced it with another friend, and didn't mention it to the mom. The mom had mentioned something to me about, oh, he knows this and that, because if I'm thinking it, and then that's what I was like, what'd you say? And so we started talking. And I'll never forget this. When I was just about 2018, I had just gotten certified in RPM, went to one of the conferences, and after one of the conferences broke out, everybody's leaving. One mom from the bottom, think of a college auditorium.
Yeah.
the bowl thing. One mom at the very bottom yells out to everyone leaving, "So guys, I wondered if anyone else has experienced their kid reading their minds." And I was like, "Oh, yes." And no one in the entire audience, they just kept walking. And I was like, no, 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 please come back. Like, I was so excited that somebody was saying it. And, I'd never met this person. This was a national conference. And so that was my first light bulb moment of, wait a minute, it's not just my situation. And then again, more situations kept popping up. It's not just Atlanta. Okay. So is it Virginia, Atlanta, Oregon? Like, is it US? Then I start hearing the British stories, the people that know Soma overseas. Some of the people were talking about it over there, and I'm like, whoa. And then the podcast comes out last September, or whenever, no, was it 24, September of 24. And I was just, because I had talked to, we had originally talked to Kai and before she had decided to make the film, I was going to be part of it through another family, and she decided years later to make the podcast. And so it was weird how I heard about Kai. I knew what she was doing, but then didn't hear anything about it until all of a sudden the podcast was there. And so then I reached out to her. I said, "Thank you for doing this, Kai. I thought I was crazy." And she wrote a nice message back, was this and that. And so then months later, I had been in touch, of course, with Katie Asher. I'd worked with Houston and Atlanta. And she was like, "I have an opportunity for you." And I had this weird feeling that it was going to be about the telepathy tapes, because she had already signed on to be in it. And sure enough, they had asked me to be the practitioner for a new friend. And so that's kind of all I can say about that is
Yeah.
they asked me to be a practitioner on the film. So,
Wow.
so yeah, that's been 2025 was all about getting all that stuff together. And then from what they've announced, the final cut is ready to go. So I think everyone will probably get an announcement soon about when the date for that will be, the release. But this year is going to be a great year, I can tell you that.
Yeah, man. I think it's just going to open up a lot of minds, and hopefully help families and help these people finally communicate with their families, and their families communicate with their people. And oh man.
Yeah, and I do think we had this gigantic wave already. That the podcast did so much for that, and so I think the film is only going to just exponentially, rocket ship to just, you can't deny it. And this, yeah, some of the science is weird. Like this, a lot of stuff that got to be explained. But again, I think that's where the quantum level comes in, where we're looking in the wrong spot. We're looking for this physical data when we should be looking at the brain scans and the EEG or the EEGs, the everything we can with the brain to map out what's going on as they're openly communicating with someone like myself. And even better, like I'm excited for, I just saw that Elon, the Neuralink, just helped someone with completely have this conversation by their brain alone. And if that could like I've been going at him, going, "Elon, let me volunteer some of my, hopefully my non-speakers will," because that would be amazing. If they could put me on a job gladly, if they could figure out a way to let them talk full stop without even needing me as like this best case scenario, verbiage, when they can get exactly what's coming out in real time, not this very laborious process of typing one letter at a time. I'm so excited for that day because I think it's coming. It could be just it's too invasive now, but once we figure out that brain, I think it's a matter of time before they're communicating themselves.
Like if it might just be like a headset.
Yeah, like a skull cap. But then
Yeah.
it is kind of one of those scary things where you don't know where it ends. Like, are we already kind of there with our phones, right?
Yeah.
People talk about the way that they maybe your phones are listening more than just our voice. Again, I think that we're putting this energy out there that we don't realize that they're picking up on. Maybe there's a technology that actually can feed off that, and just who knows. So
What like working with all these people and
Yeah.
um, you're talking like you think it might be on a quantum level, like I do.
Mhm.
Um, but what, what, how's your view changed? Not just with like, oh, these people can communicate or whatever, but like, has there been anything else that's like, you're smiling?
Well, I don't know what you're about to ask because I'm totally open to so much.
No, I guess I'm just going, I'm just wondering what else has like open, or like, where are you like trying to connect things now? Or like,
Oh,
what else is
sure.
open for you,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've always been a spiritual person,
Yeah.
but I never was really growing up. I was Southern Baptist, so like fire and brimstone. It kind of scared me away from organized religion. Like I always had this link with God, my inner God. Wasn't sure as a kid, being told Bible stories like I'm not 100% sure. Like, is that real? That's cool. But then as I got older, I kind of just got away from. But I always had this like something's bigger than me inside. And then it wasn't until I started working with my open communicators and me and my wife started, I found a church that actually spoke to me, like a non-denominational, just listen to my message and then take it for, mix it into your life kind of thing. So that's what I needed. But it was their words that really brought me out of a pretty sad, dark place in my life in like 2017, 18, when I started working with so many. And I saw that their perspective on life, with so much to be kind of down about, was so positive, and it was full of love and full of positive direction. It was never like, I'm going to be stuck here forever. I'm going to be doing this. It's always like, I didn't have a great day, but tomorrow will be better kind of thing. It's like, where does this come from? And I think it's because it might not be the Jesus or whatever. They have a connection with God, and they are very spiritual. And we might not even have to. Some of them, rare. I've only had a few friends actually use the word Jesus. It's always God. It's, they talk about their spirituality so much that, again, that can't be a coincidence to me. But some of the things that they've said have really opened it up to, oh, so maybe that little voice that I've kind of had this connection to, this God in my head, that they're talking to it and they believe in it. They've helped my spirituality grow so much that then I started thinking, if they're talking to God and they can feed off energies and they can kind of hear certain thoughts or whatever it is, what else is out there that we cannot see that's going on? So the demon thing you talked about, the
Yeah.
people don't like that. That's kind of new to me, but I understand that because it's so ironic that you brought that up. My wife's kind of going through her Bible study, and she keeps talking about these phrases about necromancers or whatever, about talking to the dead. I might not be saying that word right, but yeah, that's a weird phenomenon because a lot of them do talk about being connected with people that have passed on.
Mhm.
That has not ever been an experience with me firsthand, but I've heard it from other people so many times that my speller said they communicated with someone's beyond. And I start seeing these things with, especially when more recently my father passed away, and I started seeing things that were just, it was like, there's my dad saying hi, and it's one of those little things that I maybe would have brushed off earlier in my life as, oh, that's just a silly coincidence, but it's made me stop certain times, or I'm like, I need to pay attention to this moment because I think it's the universe talking to me, or this person talking to me. And so I think since I've experienced the mind meld telepathy for the first time, I've always been like, what is going on? Like that. I remember that night that it happened of the day. It was hard for me to sleep because I couldn't explain it. And then I tried to like explain it to my friends and they're like, what? So it really made me start questioning everything, in a good way. But really just hammered the idea home that there's probably way more out there that going on that we can't see, that we can't measure. that's beyond the naked eye. Just think of like infrared technology.
Hmm.
I mean, or when you start getting into sacred geometry and thinking of fourth dimension, I don't think people realize what that means. And so when you think about a fourth dimension that we can't see but could be there, yeah, the possibilities are exciting and scary all at the same time.
Yeah, because it's
Maybe there's something they're tapping into, right? Maybe they're able to connect with some of the thoughts we're projecting. The energy they're reading is going into that place we cannot see, to where they're just all they're doing is tuning the radio to be like, oh, I can hear what's going on over here. I don't know. It's something that I constantly want to understand and hope to understand, but I just try to explain it through scenarios and what their words, their exact words, what they try to explain it to me.
it,
So,
I have a question about you. You made me think about this when you were just talking about all that. But like when you go to a conference or if you go to a place that has all of these people together and you were talking about energy, is the
yeah.
energy just like crazy different, or is it just kind of the same and you're just like working with people, or is it like you can actually feel this like, oh, everyone's kind of talking here, or there's a different energy in the room, or
You mean like, are you talking about me personally?
yeah, I was just wondering, like when you go to if you go to a place and there's I don't know if you've experienced this, but just
Mm,
there's a lot of nonverbal people and maybe they do
I
communicate telepathically
sure.
and you feel like a
Okay.
different energy or anything.
I see what you're asking. There's been so many times, again, before I knew about what was everything that goes on. There were always times where you'd be, oh, look, they're over there kind of flirting away. We'd make jokes, and now you see them make a little eye contact, or they'll go over there and not even look at each other, and all of a sudden you see them like holding hands out of nowhere. You're like, that was weird. Where they sense each other, right? Like or whenever two of them get together, they're calm as can be, but as soon as they separate, they're wild men again.
Hmm.
And it's like they were sitting there like probably catching up on football or something, or or it's
Yeah.
football. They're probably football is the least of their worries. Probably it's like astrophysics, like solving the world's problems. But there are definitely times where they get together, and don't get me wrong, there are some voices or some energies that are so big, the big jumpers or the loud growler kind of people that alone might dysregulate another friend.
Mm.
So there are times where they clash, but they kind of find each other when it comes to, all right, they're going to get a group together, and then they kind of realize, all right, some people kind of clash when it comes to the bodies don't like each other kind of thing, or some are just can't take the noise. So you kind of find your people, but they definitely love being around each other. A lot of my people that are still in school have talked about, school is not the most fun. A lot of people don't treat me with respect. They treat me like a baby, but I get to be with my friends, and we get to go in the community. They get to go to Walmart. They get to go, to a hotel to help pick up stuff. It's little things like that. They enjoy being around each other. It's like the lack of education we're getting is kind of we break even by being able to hang out with each other and talk, be around, talk, if you will, while they're around each other.
Yeah, and maybe we didn't say this word yet, but apraxia, where
Yeah. Oh, yes.
that it's basically like your consciousness doesn't connect with your body.
Yeah. So like we were talking about earlier, where their brain is saying one thing, but their body is doing another thing. Another guy used the analogy that he's a vending machine, and that he's got all these ideas and all these things inside of him. So when somebody comes up and wants to ask him a question, they press, G4. Only thing that he can spit out is B7. So
Mm.
like if they want to know about the weather, or they want to know about what he thinks about, flying in an airplane, he spits out something. He's like, that's not what I meant. And then they ask him something else. No, that's not what I meant. He's like, nothing comes out with the same thing, or the worst thing, or the thing I don't want comes out. So it's just the praxis of I want to zig and my body zags kind of thing. But imagine that with everything that your every limb, every digit, even when it comes to just like grasping at something near you, your vision might just be slightly off kind of thing. Yeah, the full body apraxia, it took me a while to learn it, of what it really meant, and to just assume that most of our non-speakers are the loopy friends that are stuck in the tics and the stems are part of that full body apraxia constantly.
Yeah, and when you're talking about school, that's what was making me think about, kids in school that have apraxia or nonverbal, and just like how the school system is not, it's not set up for that.
Oh yeah.
And it's not set up for teachers to know how to deal with it. It's not set up for students to know how to deal with it. And then I'm sure there's a lot of special needs teachers out there that might be watching this or see this, and they you just lump them all together in one room, like all these different people together in one room, and then nothing's really happening. They're just there, and then they go home, and it's like I don't know, what do we need, Austin? What do we need in schools? How can we change?
I don't know. It's a hard battle. It's so much money involved. It's you have to retrain people, and that's the nightmare they see, is that they gotta invest money that a lot of them don't have into something, getting somebody trained. Even I personally think that if they could take a small amount of money and train one person at a school on how to do this, that, if you find a loyal teacher that wants to do this, you could have a good asset at your school for years to come. It's not learning for one student. It's learning for a lifetime or your work lifetime amount of positive impact. So if schools would just realize that you don't have to suck up to ASHA and follow every single thing that they say, take their word with a grain of salt and say, okay, I hear you. I'm also going to try this avenue of spelling and presuming competence to see what wins out. It's one of those things. I think that a lot of people might be scared of, going from ABA to spelling, that they're never to come back. And I still have adults that have issues with bathroom time, all that, and they still need behavioral therapy. But you can do behavioral therapy with respect and presuming competence, where you physically talk to their body. It's not like, oh, let's try again. It's like, hey, get your arms moving. You got to pick that up. Bring it over here. You can do it. Let's go. Bring it. Like, talk to them like if they're a pain in the ass teenager, talk to them like a pain in the ass teenager, or an adult. Like, hey, I'm not picking this. You can carry this. You've got to get up and do it. Instead of going, oh, I know you're tired, buddy. It's like talk to them. They respect that, and you'd be surprised at how fast they move when you do. It's like, so sometimes they just want to flop around, and because they're testing the waters, like, how much can I get away with without having to work? And it's just the body's resistance. And then once they start spelling, they're fine. And then you give them a break, they go floppy on the ground. Hey, it's time to spell. They come back to the chair and ready to go. It's just, it's an ebb and flow of finding every sweet spot with every student, depending on how their body reacts.
So what I'm hearing from you is, you got to be, if you want to be a spelling practitioner, you have to have patience. You have to be honest. You have to have good intention. Good intention, good energy.
They will. That's the thing, is that they will know that if there's anyone out there like trying to infiltrate, like spelling, I would say go for it, because I want to see if it works, because I'm pretty sure they'll weed out anyone who's like coming in to try to disprove or I'm going to prove that these guys are stupid, like these guys and gals don't know how to learn. Like that's the thought, which is wild. Like, why can't you just say, wait, they can? I guess it's because it was easy for me. But some people just don't want to believe that they're able to learn. Now, not all of them are geniuses. Not all of them, like some of them probably have learning disabilities that you probably have to work through. I have yet to figure out how they have a learning disability per se, because I'm just teaching them to spell one word answers at the beginning. So like if they do have, something going on with the vision, or I'm not really qualified to, I always watch their eyes, but I'm looking for their eyes to go to the board and then poke. Like a vision therapist, that's not really me. But so when it comes to learning disabilities and all that, there very well is probably many of them in there. But with spelling, I just forge ahead with, we're going to focus on one word answers, expand from there into sentences, and then open communication when you show me you're accurate. And I've yet to, anyone who's become open, I've yet to see like, oh, they mixed up their words, or they spelled this backwards, or kind of, again, I'm not a linguist, so I don't even know what good examples are, but we pretty much just spell straightforward. And almost all my open communicators have shown me that they don't necessarily have a learning disability that has presented itself through spelling, or that they've told me about. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah. No, and how many people are you working with right now?
I average about 25 clients a week, so 5 a day usually. It's majority similar people throughout the week. I alternate a lot with, I see a handful weekly, and then the rest are either bi-weekly or once a month kind of thing.
Okay.
And then since the page has gone up, I've just gotten so many amazing connections with people from all over the country wanting me to help them as a coach or as a parent, or even people from schools that are just looking to like, hey, could you teach us about what spelling's about, this and that? And I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. I had one of the first, so the big idea when I first went back on the road into people's houses was to, I want to get into the real world stuff, learn what's troubling you at home, and show you how to get through it with spelling, and then get the parents on board. Then my second goal, which I didn't think it'd actually come to fruition, but was to eventually start up a nonprofit to where people could help send me around the country to be I call it Operation Johnny Appleseed. And it's just going around and telling people that are these dead pockets that have never heard of spelling, of just, all right, one person is all it takes to be, can you come to my town? And then, gather some families that, we'll get a group together. I'll show you what spelling's all about. I'll tell you how to get certified through the main players, how I did it, how you can do it if you follow the process. I mean, kind of like a salesman for spelling. Mm-hmm. But everybody out there is donating to the nonprofit to help this happen. And so we were just approved for here in Georgia for the nonprofit. So we're almost there. Yeah, thank you. We're waiting on the bank to let us get going with collection, but we were technically approved last year. We just had a few glitches with paperwork and this and that, but I'm excited for that because I've had, someone from Idaho. I just went to Kentucky in Louisville. They had a little pocket of a few spellers, and they invited me. A family, I went to work with them, and then they just so happened they had this meeting, and I was able to tell an auditorium full of strangers about spelling that it started up great conversations. And, it's exciting to see that people can get energized. That a lot of people don't know how to get going as a community, or just as a single family, single person. How do I get started? So it's all about, having confidence, getting going, and then building that community that I want to help with. So
have you done this already, or thought about? I mean, man, you're a busy man. You said
what's that?
5 people a day, but like showing people online, or having like a course online where you could like teach people how to do it.
Yeah, I've had many people ask me that. That's a lot of work to put into, of course, but I'm not sure. Like if if that's what I want to do, because I'm eventually going to have to start getting off the road as much. And I don't know when I'm ready to do that. It'll be a tough thing to kind of wind down with my regulars. And they keep saying that, like they keep telling me like, don't be, don't be going doing this and leaving us and all that. And that's the point is I need to be in these houses and getting these parents on the boards, or anyone, just a brother, a cousin, anyone that wants to be their champion. I got to get somebody, because my job is to pass off these skills. It's the one I'm going to show you what your kid's made of. Because I definitely believe in every single person I work with, but it's also to say, I learned this on the job and knew nothing about spelling. You can do it too. And so a lot of parents are hesitant or scared to kind of jump into something new. But if I can't say this enough, it's a lifestyle. So spelling is a lifestyle. Just like if you could take the word autism and put in deaf for your child, you would learn sign language. So if you dive into spelling, dive in head first and learn it, learn to be their practitioner, the regulation partner, and it will be around for their whole lives. It won't just be this thing you kind of try and maybe we'll pick it back up in 6 months kind of thing. It's just something you got to keep doing. Even with resistance, that stuff kind of fixes itself after you do it repetitively, and they kind of see the benefit within a few sessions. They kind of know what's going on, what the ultimate goal is. So,
I mean, even with just the stories you're sharing too, for people that are trying right now with their family members, but the story you're sharing about that guy, it took him 7 years. Like,
yeah,
I think that's good to know too, is like, like like you were saying, there's that saying too, that one was it like, once you meet one autistic person,
you met one,
because we're all different,
exactly.
But
and he's an example too of him and another friend of mine, Emily, who I've shown a few videos. They have a couple physical issues too, that when I first learned to spell with them early on, I was dumb and naive and just thought, oh, well, their physical issues is probably going to limit them from being able to spell. And it was just one of those things where, as a coach, I kept working with them, and they started slowly and surely showing me the signs, but it was just not as fast as I had anticipated. So I kept thinking, oh, am I a bad coach? What am I missing? Until something would finally click. And I realized, like, oh, it's just that it's not their physical, limitations that's stopping their spelling. It's like they're working through that. It's me doubting them that's probably making them hesitant to fully engage with me. Wow. And so it might have been them showing me a sign one day of going, oh, there it is. And then all of a sudden we got a little bit more confidence from me, not them. It's me being a dummy and not being humble to them of like, hey, these are my words, pay attention. I was doubting, right? And so they kept me humble that way of like, don't ignore my physical disabilities, the slower body. And sure enough, both of them are openly communicating. It's just, I had to kick myself from the negativity of, it's just, I don't know if it's for them, and those two were the early ones, but more and more after that just confirmed for me that anyone can do this when done right.
Yeah. And that's so crazy, man, how it could be you, like you yourself, blocking the energy or the.
Yeah. And one thing I should share, so because I see a lot of people after they've been working with mom or practitioner for so long, and so when I go in confident and with my experience, I'm always just kind of like, all right, let's go, let's push it. And sometimes I'll get people on the keyboards in the first session, and the parents are like, wait, what? And I'm like, no, look, you've put in all the work. You're making me look good right now. Like, it's great that they're spelling, but you got to give yourself credit, because whatever y'all did to this point, it's showing up through their spelling now.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I always try to tell them, like, hey, this is not me. this is what y'all have done. I'm just kind of showing you, like, look what you've done, like, look what they're capable of because of your work. And it's the same thing with my friend that taught me how to spell. When the family was teaching him, they were given instructions to just let him touch letters over and over again, spell these words, and the family's like, "What are we doing?" And as soon as he got in front of Elizabeth Vosseller, she unlocked him. It was like, "What?" Because she knew what she was doing. And the family unwittingly, unknowingly was questioning, why are you doing this? Why is he just touching letters over and over again? They were building the foundation. They were building brick by brick that foundation that when he was ready, he had a mansion ready to go. And she was just like, let's see what you got. And, people don't see that in the trenches, work letter by letter, you're building those neural connections over and over again, and that that neuroplasticity starting to happen. And the reason I know the neuroplasticity works with the spelling is because I'll get these anecdotal stories from the parents when I come visit. They're like, "Hey, before you start, I thought I should let you know, Alex the other day said something, and it was exactly the response he should have given me, but he's never said it before. And it was at the right timing, at the right moment, and it took me back." And I was like, all right. So, like, all these, like, success stories of, what, they started doing this, but like, I noticed the other day they were making their bed and they've never been asked to make their bed. And it's like, wait, what? Like, I think it's just the brain rewiring in a positive way, showing up with, like, I don't know how to say this. Like, it's like a unconsequential positive things, It's like, that's a little weird, but so great that you're doing it. Like, where did that come from, kind of thing? And I keep hearing these over and over again. And to me, it's like, oh, that's the neuroplasticity showing up from the spelling. Spelling is helping rewire the brain to where maybe something's unlocking somewhere else to where their movement is just different.
Yeah.
And it's only through those stories that would have make me understand that. But when it happens over and over again, I'm like, oh, another pattern. It's something's got to be true about it, some truth to it.
Yeah. Wow. And I want to make this clear too for people, not all nonverbal people. I mean, we might all have the capability, like you said, but not all nonverbal people that you've worked with are telepathic. And
exactly. And let me clarify that too, because I've only experienced it I've been open with a lot of people in my career, but I've only experienced that because it's a very different feeling. I use the idea. The closest thing I can explain to people is that when you are literally forcing, and that is literally because words, forcing this word across the ether, it feels almost like you were a kid and trying to, like, do the force, right? Mm-hmm. It's like I'm literally trying to push this word through open air into the, like, you can read it almost, and I just need you to spell it. And I'm talking to him in my brain, like, all right, that first letter, what is it? What is it? What is it? It feels different compared to when I'm openly, like, just, all right, Mom said you guys went out to eat the other night. You had a bad time at the restaurant. Can you tell me what was going on? And that's completely different than when I'm trying to force this word. It feels kind of icky. Like, one of my clients actually said, was like, I don't like that. But it feels physically different than when you just are mind clear, body relaxed, and they start flowing are guiding you. When you're trying to guide them, they don't, like, it's like this, it's almost like two magnets, right? Mm-hmm. There's some, like, it's working, but it doesn't feel natural. And that's the only way I can kind of explain what's going on, is that when you're trying to force a word, it is completely different feeling than when you're openly communicating and their thoughts are coming out, especially when they're a thought a word starts flowing and it pops into your head and you're like, oh my gosh, what is that? Like, that is amazing. And then I'm like, hey, mom, can you Google that to make sure that, and sure enough, it's like the third definition down. It's like, oh, that's the context I needed. Cause like, I know what that word means, but I'm not sure if you used it right. And then sure enough, I'm the one that's not giving them enough credit for understanding the context of a word that I kind of know, but they must have heard in a conversation at home or at school or whatever. That's another thing, is that the apple definitely doesn't fall far from the tree. So a lot of these people say, well, how do they know so much language? How do they know how to spell so much? And the spelling thing has been explained to me so many times that when they just stare at things and aren't anticipated to show that they know it, because they can't explain that they can't tell us. They just sat there and read everything. Like, yeah, I know what that means. Like, they know what it means, but they can't tell us they know what it means. And so they kind of go path of least resistance, where they just kind of roll through life. And a sad kind of way to go. The frustration, right? You see the self-interest or the just flat out behavioral stuff. It's more likely because of the people not presuming competence consistently, and or thinking bad things about what's going on, and the students just kind of like, this person doesn't care about me. Like, why would I engage in anything they want to do when they don't care about me? So yeah, I can get long-winded. So,
No, dude, it's amazing, man. I'm share all of it, dude. I'm loving this, and that's why I wanted you on here, man. I want people to know about this. I want people to know about you, and I want to try to just like cover stuff too, like or like just through conversation, like what else we can bring up here that I want people to know, because this is just also, it's not just it's as fascinating as it is wonderful, and like just beautiful, like this is such a breakthrough, I think, for us as humans to recognize these other humans as competent, and people in there that can talk, and let's help them talk, and so like I just want to talk about it all, dude. So
yeah, I'm kind of, and I've talked to Katie. I don't know if you're familiar with Katie. You probably are with listening to Telepathy Tapes. Katie Asher, about like, I think that there's no coincidence that all this stuff is kind of culminating with the UFO stuff as well. Like, I think that there's a weird but amazing awakening kind of rolling through the country and the world right now with all this stuff, and everybody coming to a collective kind of conclusion that there's definitely things that we've been told over the decades, centuries, that aren't fully true.
mm-hmm.
And I think we're all starting to kind of piece things together slowly, but we still don't know everything. And so I do think that, like, when I hear stories of, people, again, that think that the UFO stuff it's all crazies, right? But when I hear stories of meet encounters and they say that they understood the interaction or the communication between the being, because they didn't know what they were saying, they just understood it. And I'm like, like, that to me sounds like a feeling I've had before, when it was, when you have this, when I had that first moment with what was that? Mm-hmm. It's kind of that same thing of like, I know what I just experienced, but if somebody were to tell me, or if I heard me telling somebody, I would think I was crazy. And so I understand when people hear these stories about abductions or, this and that, but when they start sounding similar, and then they talk about the telepathy of the interactions, and they could communicate with just their minds, that's when my ears perk up, because I'm thinking, well, if our God created the heavens and the earth,
Hmm.
There's definitely going to be more things out there that probably are more advanced, obviously. And I fully think that there's some communication out there that they're able to tap into, but that is a communication that might be more cosmic. And maybe it's a way that every living being can communicate that we just don't realize. I'm a full believer. Never would have thought this years ago that plants are fully alive, and I think there's intelligence in everything. Personally, so I'm sure again, all this is coming. You asked me about stuff I've opened up to.
Yeah, man. This is
It's
perfect.
all this stuff is. I've always been fascinated by UFOs, but I'm like, oh, it'd be fun if it's real. But now I'm like digging into it, and I'm
Have
like,
you seen any? Have you ever seen anything weird or?
I know, but I've always gone outside to purposely look.
Yeah.
Like, come on, if
Yeah.
if you're out there, I'm ready. I'm actively engaging with it. Like, come and get me. Just let me see something.
You know what's so
Um,
weird about that is like sometimes people do that and then it happens and
yeah. Well, I've heard
you're like, whoa,
I've
but then
heard a
it
few a
always
few
happens like
people.
when you're not expecting it, you know?
Yeah, I've heard a few people say you need to go out there with intention.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if the communication is beyond our what we can see, maybe that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, yeah, I want it does seem like it's all connected. Especially when some like higher ups and people involved say that the UFO thing, it's not the craft is just like a small part of it, but it has to do with consciousness. When you hear
Yeah,
words like that, you go, "Oh, okay." Then, well, like when like telepathy, energy, like frequency, vibration, all this stuff, like it all
sure,
connects it all together. I don't know what's going on, but it's
sure.
cool and I'm here for it, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. I heard, I can't remember where I heard this. Somebody was telling a story, a whistleblower or something about being in a facility and seeing that as soon as there were words on the craft, uh, it energized it or something. Or if you read it or something, I forget what they said, but it
Oh,
was
weird.
the hieroglyphics determined how a certain thing. And so that's why I'm thinking maybe that's the secret is that it's the language, the certain letters or certain characters like in a certain way are maybe they go beyond than what we think of just I see a letter, I say the letter. Maybe there's something more to it. I don't even know if I explained that well, but like I
Well,
just think that
I
I
think
think there's something magical about letters. Like they're more than we just see a word, we say it. I think there's something about the symbols we put together in our minds that have a bigger meaning, but we've kind of elementary schooled everything down to this, oh, we're going to read words. But I think the words are something bigger, and maybe that's part of the spelling. Who knows?
yeah, man.
Um, Maybe it takes imagination for me to be a good communication coach. I don't know. Because I'm sure I talk about space all the time with my clients. I mean, when we need a topic, it's like, all right, let's see what's going on with the cosmos, science this week. Or it's with my older adults, it's talking about the hadron collider or something, like.
Oh, cool.
And that's another thing. Like, what did they open up with that thing? Who knows? Like, I'm
Yeah,
into all that.
that stuff's wild too. Who knows what's going on?
Yeah,
And you always get
exactly.
some weird headline, it says they're opening portals there. So,
I know. Yeah,
what are you guys
yeah.
talking about?
It's fun to think about, but who knows what's true? But
Yeah, speaking of words having like power and letters having power,
mm,
I've brought this up before, but you just reminded me of this. But like, uh, we've been told the word apocalypse means
mm,
like the end of the world, and when you think apocalypse, you always think the end of the world.
yeah,
When you look at the Greek word, like the actual, you know, Greek word and its meaning, it means revelation, it means revealing, it means uncovering, it means like a disclosure, basically. That's what
I
it
didn't know
means.
that.
Yeah. So like anyone could look at, I mean, I'll probably have it
Sure.
pop up when we're talking here, but
Yeah.
but you look it up. But it's pretty wild because we've been kind of told like the apocalypse is this bad thing, but I think like even with the telepathy tapes with the UFO stuff, all this stuff seems to just be like coming out on its own now. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't really.
that's a thing. Is it? I feel like the way it's all come out, it's not like it's been leaked
Mhm.
or like they allowed Kai to release her documentary at a certain time, right? It was. I feel like it was just click, 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 and things are picking up. And wasn't until I started hearing people going, "Isn't it weird how like all this stuff is coming together?" And I thought it is weird in the best possible way.
Mhm.
Because all these things that I've been thinking my whole life, or maybe not everything, but especially the past decade, I'm like that's weird. Everything is starting to come together. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's my science mind and knows no ends of I just want to absorb everything I can. I'm just like everybody else. I want to know the truth. I want to know how my autistic friends are able to do what they do and what really is going on. Like another analogy I've been shared is again the telepathy word is a nice word that everyone kind of understands, but it's so much more than that. And I think one of my guys explained it in that if you think of a cartoon, like think of a Peanuts cartoon, you got the thought bubbles up here, and my thought bubbles full of all my language, and his thought bubbles full of all his language. And so when we're in our battery system, our thought bubbles are slowly starting to come together.
Mm.
And then all our shared words kind of get jumbled up together. And he's kind of like picking out, okay, what I want to say, that's the best word. All right. So the spelling's for us, for me. So he's like combining everything together. All right. What is Austin going to understand? All right. This is what I'm going to say. And especially even the words that like I've heard before, but I'm like, I'm not sure that's the right word. So I look it up. I'm like, that's the confidence that I get of, I never would have come up with that, or I don't even know if that's the right context. So I'm just so confident that they lead me and they make me look good. And they teach me every day. I can use analogies of theirs to make people understand what's going on better. And again, it makes me sound good because it's their words.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't know any of this if it weren't for Soma, who put it all together as RPM, and then S2C and the speller's method, all that stuff. It's all, it's all for the same point of open communication. It doesn't matter which one you follow. It's just follow one well and find a practitioner that can help guide you along, your sensei, if you will, just to make sure you're doing things right. And it's going to work out, and it's going to open up so many opportunities for your person that it'll change lives.
Yep.
So,
And there's I mean not in every city, but you like people out there like look up your city if it's got a
yeah. Oh
spell.
yeah.
San
And I can
Diego has
send.
one here, I think so.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I'll just so I don't get them wrong on here. I'll email those to you if you want to. There's a couple links people could go to find probably a practitioner through the certification groups. They have almost like a map, if you will, of if you type in your address, it'll kind of tell you that your closest practitioner to you. And if that doesn't work for you, find somebody online. Reach out to me. I'll try to help. Reach out to anyone. I think a lot of families might be hesitant to reach out online because they might think someone like myself or somebody else is too busy. And I might be busy. I'm definitely dealing with, I got 3 kids and a full time job doing all this. But I'll try to do my best. But you got to reach out and take a chance on practitioners out there that you like watching their videos. Just reach out and say, I love what you do. I'm either, I'm thinking about becoming a coach. What can I do? Or this is my kid. What would you recommend? Kind of stuff. Always reach out and ask other parents, and just try to stay within the community because the support system is so important. One thing we haven't really talked about, but I don't mind sharing about is I've been in recovery from alcohol for over a decade now. And the support system for the recovery groups is so similar to autism. It's so funny in a good way, because they share stories just like my buddies do in my group, and they're bouncing ideas, and like that's the first support group I sat in online. I was like, this is so funny because it feels so natural and so good to be able to. All these moms and a few dads were by the end of the call just like, thank you guys for validating my feelings, and it's so similar to what I've experienced, and so I know that they work. So if you can find somebody local that's another parent or a practitioner, just as a Zoom thing of like, please tell me I'm not crazy, or please tell me I'm doing this wrong or right, kind of thing. You just gotta be the squeaky wheel when it comes to fighting for your person. So forge ahead, definitely. Yeah.
And for people that, aren't going to be, spelling with anyone or whatever, like, I mean, I know, like, I'm not spelling with anyone, but the best way I could do is have you come on here, and anyone that follows me, like, but if like, spread the word, everybody, like, try to help
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, and that's the sad thing, is that the statistics are so small now. I think they said in California 1 in 10 boys are autistic now.
Whoa.
And that is insane. I definitely checked that number, but the last I heard, that's what it was. And again, just California, but it's high across the world. Mm-hmm. And so I think that if we can kind of get practitioners to have the heart for autism kind of going, it's going to help a lot. But I think the least thing you can do is presume competence and just talk to your person like you can. But yeah, I think just getting anyone that has an autistic friend in their world, and they are not pursuing or don't even know about it, then yeah, I would just tell them, have you heard of spelling? And then, yeah, send them my way, send them to this podcast, and just let them know that it's a process that absolutely works when done right, and can change your lives for the better.
Dude, on your link tree too, you have 3 podcasts that you were on, and those are really great too. So I'm going to link those in the episode.
Oh, cool! Thank you.
But those were great too, man. Like, I'm
going to have to add this one to it now. Yeah.
Do it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy to be on there. But those were really cool, man. Just 2 of them. I mean, the one where you had it was like the 3 other mothers on there. Yeah, that was cool. It was like I forgot the name of it. Sorry, I don't know it off the top of my head. But I think John Paul's mom was on there.
Yeah. I was going to say the Presuming Competence series.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That was really cool hearing all talk about it.
We kind of we're nicknaming ourselves the Avengers of spelling, because we're coming together just to answer questions and answer skeptics' questions, really, and to show just what I just walked through with you of like sharing war stories, if you will, and success stories of what spelling is about, and why we do certain things, why we hold the letterboard, why we start with lessons, why we have the hierarchy of letterboards. All that we break down, and we're going to keep going with those as long as we can, as long as people keep wanting them. We have one coming up. I wasn't in it personally, but I just heard from the ladies that did it with one of our Dr. Torres, which was on the podcast. She was on with some of the ladies on letting her basically have 2 hours to explain as much as she can from what she's experienced in her research. And they say that this one's going to be a really good one, like a whopper of. It's going to be a lot of information, and so a lot of people might go over some people's heads, because she might be talking quantum physics and stuff too. but it's going to be good. So I'll let you know when that comes out. But it'll be something we do for the foreseeable future once a month to just try to answer any questions we can and battle if anybody wants to. Not I shouldn't say battle, but have a good debate, because nobody wants to debate about it. I think a lot of people don't want to put themselves out there on either side, but we have to if we're going to ever get moved past this stalemate of people that don't believe that their words are real. It's going to come down, I think, Chad, if things are going to come down to the technology proving their words are their words. Mm-hmm. And that'll be a matter, I think, within the decade, that'll happen. And there's going to be a lot of people eating crow, which I'm not excited about. I just want to be like, I told you, come on over. We're a very friendly group. We're very humble over here. We know that we do not know everything about autism, and we're very open to the idea that even what we're doing with spelling, we might have a better version of something out there waiting for us. But right now, it's the best we got, the best I've seen, and the most consistent too. And
like you were saying, unless Neuralink, get something even more advanced where everyone doesn't need surgery to.
No, it's so invasive. Yeah.
Because I saw a guy playing like Warcraft with his brain the other day, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Imagine when it's just like a visor or a hat.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be
but yeah, it's a great time to be in the spelling world, because there's definitely controversy. We're battling, school systems for the whole country, and a national organization that's very powerful, has lots of money, lots of influence, dangling carrots, over people's heads, like, oh, you can go the spelling route but we might, we might not be inviting you to our local conference if you do that. It's kind of one of those things. It's like, do I leap out or do I go with my gut instinct that I know something more is out there, or do I kind of fall in line? And yes, Asha, I will obey your decision that is very antiquated and stuck in data that is falsely comparable. So
it's just that it happens with a lot of institutions, right? Like different institutions that had this one way of doing something. It's almost like control too. I mean, it is control, but just like there's so many institutions that have this control over. There's just one narrative, and that's what it is. And, we're learning that that's not how it is. And like we're talking about, even with the apocalypse, it's.
Yeah. But I think the point of that being is that information is not always what it seems. And that in every industry, I personally think in every government industry, there's something that is beyond, behind the scenes that we don't know about, that we all just have to trust our gut. Every position that I'm in now is going off my gut. And I feel like a lot of people that worry too much about staying in line because of what people might think or is going against the grain. I think we're finally starting to break out of that a little bit. And it's all about being vulnerable. You gotta be vulnerable and speak out when, a lot of people are hesitant to do so. And you could change minds by doing that, because you give confidence to people to kind of stand up and say, you know what, I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it. And so when one person does it, I want it to be like this good virus that spreads online of like, all right, I know a person with autism. I'm going to send them to this podcast and go from there. We can do it. It's just they're gonna fight back with their money and their influence to kind of block that stuff out. So if you know what to look for, it's easier.
When you say your gut too, like science, I think science has just pretty much found out recently that we have all those neurons in our gut.
So I read about that too. That it's like, do we have a second brain in there?
Yeah.
Talking about the brain gut connection that we always talk about, and maybe it's that's for real.
It sounds like it, man.
Yeah, and maybe that to me, it's like, have they known about that? They're like,
Yeah.
they're just now telling us. Yeah, I think that the world of science fiction is fast catching up to reality, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, our world is actually becoming some of the science fiction that we've heard about and seen. It's like almost like, were they warning us, ahead of time of what's coming? Some of these movies that were so fun to watch back in the day are becoming all too true.
Yeah, and this is the thing too. It's like it's very popular to always be negative, like Terminator, right? AI is going to be the Terminator, or if aliens come, it's going to be, the alien mouth and it's going into my brain, and but like, I want to encourage people to also have the positive outlook of what it could be.
Yeah, yeah.
It could be Star Trek, like we'd be out there exploring the universe, or like even with I know we're all in these control systems, but with the telepathy tapes, like, it would be so cool if like stuff that humanity deserves to know can be known through them. Stuff that we all should know, and it's like,
sure,
a human right for all of us to know like what reality is, and if that's being kept from us, like
all of a sudden that they let it slip.
Or they just tell us like, hey, this is what's going on. Like, I mean, I won't go too far into this, but like the whole Epstein thing, the files and all that right now, like we were all promised something. It's obviously not happening. We're promised something with UFOs. It's not happening. All this stuff's being held back from us. And I think there's certain things that we need to know. And there's other stuff, I don't need to know. Like, I don't need to know how to make a nuclear bomb, or like, like there's, yes, I understand, like, let's protect national security. But there's certain things that I think that we all need to know and we should know. And that'd be cool if that's in our future too,
Yeah, they let some of the secret slip.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not supposed to be a secret,
Yeah, it's like, oh, whoops, we didn't. The people that are keeping the secrets are like, we didn't really anticipate this problem. Our autistic friends sharing our secrets.
Yeah, man. Dude.
Now, one thing I would do want to share with. Oh, let me take a sip.
Yeah, do it. I will too.
Is there, I think it's episode 10 of season 1 of Telepathy Tapes, which was a universal theme that is so true, that they, when I talked about their words changing my life a little bit, is the unconditional love that they kind of show, and the grace that they show compared to almost any human that I know that's not autistic, is incredible. Like, it's so true about, they could, once they became open, they could just go off on teacher so-and-so or coach so-and-so, cousin so-and-so, but none of them have ever done that. When they get to open, I've even had parents kind of pry, and I even tell my parents, like, that's kind of an icky question, but they're like, what is it about Uncle so-and-so you're not a fan of, this and that? And they always say, I'd rather not talk about that. Let's move on. It's like, sure. Okay, cool. They don't like to dwell on the past. They like the fact that they found their voice, and this is not the time to bring up the past, unless I have yet to experience this, but I've heard of a few cases where there was some serious accusations, and that's a tricky situation, but I haven't experienced that myself, and it's always been like, this one of the best quotes was, you guys did the best you could with the information you had at the time. So like, how could you not be heartbroken at that when you're thinking, I'm such an ass? Like, there's no telling what they've heard all these years. There's no telling, what I've said in front of them, this and that. They don't care. They know how human we all are, and they know how we act around each other. They know how much we lie. They know how much. So they're kind of like, oh, that's just a human activity. Like, everybody does that. And so they kind of have this amazing grace to where if you're a bad person and you're doing that, they're just going to kind of shun you away, not maybe be dysregulated around you. But if you're a good person and you're kind of in this bad situation, they kind of like, it's all right. Like, you didn't know any better. You did what you did, and let's move on. It's amazing, and it's consistent. Like, this isn't something that I've noticed that it's person to person. Even my short-winded spellers that are just like, short little bursts, they're so gracious. They're so loving. They always want to try to do things if they can. Like, hardly any of them turn down opportunities to try new things because they don't get asked to do things very often. So when a parent asks, do you want to try this? Do you want to go try on the boat? You've never been on a boat. And they say yes. The parents are like, what? Okay. And again, like the example of them driving a boat, or my guy being in the ocean, when they send me pictures, I used to be so surprised. And now I'm like, oh, that's them putting it out there and making the universe aware I'm going to get this shit done. And they get it done. It's one of the coolest developments in my career the past few years is that when they start typing things that even I, as a coach, with all the confidence that I have in them, will still question, like, ooh, do you really want to go to a crowded theater and see this movie? Because you can't handle that very easily. And the parents were like, yeah, he had a couple of times where he had to get up and leave. He sat through the whole movie. I never would have taken him to that movie. And it's just those little success stories that are multiplying over and over again to reinforce the idea that spelling is a life-changing tool. It's a tool. It's not a cure. It's a tool that used correctly is going to change your life.
Dude, how that's just so beautiful, dude. Just the forgiveness.
It is. And that's what drives me crazy is when people deny it. I'm like, oh, I don't think you realize what you're denying and what you're kind of limiting so many people growing up in the school system that don't have the opportunity that some of my clients do, to the ones that have no clue about spelling, because it's not even offered. It's not even like, hey, beware of spelling. They say that after the parents come to them. I would be happier if they were proactive and saying, don't look at spelling, because then that'll make people be like, what is this spelling?
Yeah,
why don't they? Because it usually makes people, if they don't want me to do it, there must be something to it, I always feel like
generation gets it,
Yeah, exactly.
Generation, because they're the generation that are going to be making decisions. So let's young generation into spelling, And,
I can't say this. I'm only basing this off my Instagram experience in the past 2 years from the SLPs that are reaching out. A lot of them that have reached out have said, please don't mention that I'm reaching out. I don't know what this and that. I'm like, hey, your secret's safe with me. My wife is basically like, she's an open target. But it's one of those things where the younger generation of speech pathologists are experiencing spelling and seeing it. And they're like, whoa, why was I not taught about this? Whereas the older generation of spellers or SLPs that are, more educators now and they're teaching in this, they are digging in. They are not giving in to spelling.
So weird.
Yeah. And I get it, because that's their old ways, and that's just their antiquated thinking. I saw someone making I think it was at a congressional hearing, making a case for ABA because it can be billed by insurance. That was the main reason. It wasn't because it's helpful. Mm-hmm. It was because we can bill. And I'm like, F you guys.
Where's the money?
That's a whole nother thing, like insurance. And so that kind of thing is just, because ABA used to not be covered by insurance. When I was doing ABA in the basement of my buddy who taught me everything when I was 18 years old, those parents were complaining about, insurance not covering ABA. And it eventually did. Just like the sign language used to be frowned upon. That's hard to believe. Mm-hmm. Sign language. And now it's ubiquitous. People would No, SLP would say sign language is invalid.
Wasn't it like, I forgot how late too? Like it's
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like,
yeah. You know, Helen Keller must have been like, "What are you talking about? Like,
dude.
come on." And so, and that, you know, another cool thing is that her great grandniece, I believe, she's on Instagram. She's on her team too. She's like my great aunt, or I'm probably butchering that connection. She's the best. She's like, she's been fighting, and their whole family is saying, you know, like, what are you doing to our legacy? This is not what we fought for. And so I love the fact that people are just embracing it a little bit more than it used to be. Because 10 years ago, when I first started, I wanted to shout it from the rooftops, and I realized that pretty quick nobody wants to really listen. And now more and more people are starting to listen, or at least say, I didn't think this was legit, and now I'm starting to see more and more people. So I'm giving it a second shot, like, you know, OTs, PTs. So yeah, it's a slow wave, but I think all the stuff we've talked about, the culmination of 2026 is going to be cool.
Yeah.
I wish they could give us some disclosure on top of this telepathy stuff. You know, like I want it so bad. I just want to know if we're alone out there.
Yeah.
Or just if my instincts are right, and we're definitely not alone, and that we've had this technology for so long and we've kind of mastered it, but it's one big secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, I want to know.
And we know too, they've been using the assets for like remote viewing and
Yes,
telepathy too. But
now that stuff is wild.
yeah, but I wondered, I think I've brought this up before, but like I read, whose book was it? And I can let you go pretty soon. I know we've been talking for a little while, but this is awesome. Thank you, Austin. But I think I read somewhere it was like when they were doing remote viewing, it only worked like 20 or 30% of the time when it was like the CIA doing it or whatever. But then when we're listening to the telepathy tapes and they're doing it with like love and good intention, it's working like all the time. So I wonder if you try to weaponize it, it doesn't work that well.
Oh, right. Yeah, the intention
going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the intentionality, that you could be right.
I don't know.
The theme of light and dark, good and evil, like it's so universal in our culture and everything, because I think it's legit in the universe too. There's some forces we don't understand, but I think that's the positive negative is the yin and the yang. You know, something is out there, kind of going against the good, no matter what it is. So yeah, I keep myself up sometimes just thinking about all the amazing things that are awaiting our civilization, that we are at the tip of the iceberg. I can't wait. Once we map the brain and all this stuff, like there's no telling what's going to happen.
What breakthroughs, even with AI too, what breakthroughs are we going to get this year, next year, you know? Hopefully like we'll all get cures for things like cancer and things, you know, that's on the horizon, hopefully sooner than later, you know?
Yeah, I saw something with pancreatic cancer. Something just happened with that. There's so much good that can be done with our technology. And I think there's no doubt in my mind that I hate saying this too, that I'm on the right side of this. Just because of my experience. I'm only saying that because of my experience of, like, again, hundreds of families that I've worked with, and not everyone has gotten to open communication. Definitely not. I mean, a tiny percent of that population I've worked with has been, quote, telepathic. And there are friends that I got to a certain point and never got a chance to do my test, if you will. So there could have been more out there. I'm so anxious to meet up with some friends that I lost back in the day, you know, that I knew you're going to be a good speller, but you know, life happens, different seasons of life, people move, this and that. But, it's a small percentage that have that. I think it's a certain, a body control ability too. I think there's, again, I can't say this for everybody, but in the ones that have been able to show me this power, if you will, this ability, I should say, it is a superpower to me. They're one, a very powerful open speller, and two, their body controls a little bit more with it compared to some of my other friends that are always jumping up or flapping around. It's more of the calm bodies that are, it's almost like they're able to focus their brains a little bit more in pockets compared to just sporadic motions and all this, where they really have to concentrate on getting one letter at a time kind of thing. So my open flowers that are just like tap, 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 I think those are the ones that are able to access that extra energy to whatever's going on.
That's so cool.
Just my opinion. That is just off my experience.
Yeah.
But I do think it's something on a level that we can't quite quantify at this point, but I think we will soon. And I think a lot of people will be going, dang, I should have joined team spelling when I could.
Well, dude, even I was trying to get people to know about spelling, and I mean, or just talking about it, and then, people might not know what it is, but like when I say the word, even telepathy, I can kind of feel people go, like, if you just say, have you heard the telepathy tapes?
Yeah.
All they hear is the word telepathy, and they go, oh no,
yeah.
This guy. Or like,
it's hard. That was when it first came out, it was hard to talk to people about it because you don't know how they're going to react to that word. That's why it's a little tricky. It's like, I don't think that's a good word for it, but it's the best word for getting people to pay attention. So it's a smart word. It's just not the best description for what's going on because it's bigger than telepathy. I think it's so much, they're absorbing not only words, but I think they're absorbing energies as well. And if everything, if everything is alive, plants and other things, then the energies coming into their radar just must be unbearable sometimes, Yeah,
man. Oh, so what's next for you besides, I mean, the telepathy tapes coming out is big, but are you going to do you go to conferences or anything? Because I saw there's one in San Diego that's happening.
It is. Yeah. Thanks for letting me jump in with that. We're Spellers, the Spellers Method, Spellers Freedom Foundation out in San Diego. They're doing one in October. We'll have a big group out there. We're going to do a booth for our Presume Comp festival, as well as I'll probably do a booth myself, just to tell people about the foundation and trying to raise some money to get me traveling across the country to just tell people about spelling and what it can do for them. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. And hopefully this fall, or they'll probably come out with something soon about the exact release date for the telepathy tapes, but it's coming soon and it's going to be awesome. So everybody get excited for that. And other than that, I'm just kind of doing things like this to promote spelling and meeting new people like yourself. We've been in contact, but first conversation in real life. So it's been
cool, dude. This has been really cool meeting you, and
I would love to come back and talk more of your. We talked to autism really and touched on the alien stuff. I got so much more to pick your brain about that.
Yeah, man, you can hit me up anytime too, dude. And I would love to have you back on. Dude, this has been awesome. And are you coming? So that conference, are you going to be here in San Diego? I'm in San Diego. So
okay, I didn't realize that. We will be here. So let's. I'll definitely make it a point to try to connect with you while there.
Go be like, Austin, I know you're busy. And then I'll run away or something. But
no, I can't wait. That's another reason for me to connect with you while we're out there. I think that's the only one I got coming up this year. There'll be another one we can talk about next time I see you back for 2027. We got some stuff brewing for next year. So
cool.
But spellingmore.org is kind of roughly up right now. I'm waiting for the bank account to kind of get my website refreshed a little bit, but it is up if people want to see it. It's just, again, spellingmore.org, or they can email me anytime, spellingmore@gmail. If they have spelling questions, again, look up RPM S2C, spelling to communicate, or S2C, or the speller's method if they want to get certified, or just follow good practitioners that way. So yeah, I think I can probably leave
Bring
you with
that good intention if you're
yes, bring the love and good attention, because they will know if you have bad intentions. So,
and everyone check out the episode notes, because all things Austin are going to be, I'm going to have it all in there. So
I appreciate that.
Check it out. So, well, thank you, man. Have a good rest of your night, and thank you for doing this.
Of course. It was great talking to you.
All right.
See you, man.
Later.